The Eta Beta Chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated was chartered on the campus of the University of Mississippi on February 26, 1975, by four brave and ambitious men, Joe Brown, Everett Brown, Michael Watts, and Jerry Everson. The organization, widely referred to as the Ole Miss Sigmas, was just the second black fraternity and fourth NPAC organization on the historically white campus. In its 50-year history, the Ole Miss Sigmas have initiated 353 members.
What I remember most about my time in Eta Beta is the camaraderie. There were many things that I dealt with, and everybody dealt with, but when we worked on getting things together, it was a group effort. There were a lot of people that wanted to help out, and it wasn't a question of you can do it, go ahead, I don't have time. It was what can I do to help? Everybody that joined the chapter after that, it was the same thing. You know, we bought in to doing things the way we're supposed to, and we're going to support one another. Person that was our advisor, Bikusita Liwanika, was going around talking to people saying, this is what Sigma is all about, brotherhood, scholarship, and service. And I didn't hear any of well, we want to go party and do all this kind of stuff. We want to do things to help people. And when he brought that message, it resonated with the four of us. And I guess the four of us were, Eric Brown, Jerry Everson, Michael Watts, and myself. And it was interesting how he had like an insight that was beyond normal. And he was able to meld those different temperaments into a cohesive force to move forward. And it was just something it was great, and it resonated with each one of us. So we bound together, and that's where we went. We came together with people from all different stages of life, but when we got together, it didn't matter. And in order to be successful, and we were successful in pulling things together as a fraternity, and there are many things that have taken place over the course of the years since then that show that even right now, people are coming together the same way they were back when we were.
When Joe Brown, Everett Brown, Michael Watts, and Jerry Everson crossed paths on the campus of the University of Mississippi in the fall of 1974, they were reckoning with a social climate that was neither welcoming nor hospitable for folks like them, young, aspirational, and black. It had just been over 10 years since James Meredith had integrated the all-white campus. His presence incited days of rioting and chaos, angry segregationists and broken glass, bullets, bricks, fire, tear gas, and nearly 4,000 U.S. state marshals and federal soldiers. The only way to get over was to get over together. Unity and family were what Joe, Everett, Michael, and Jerry wanted to cultivate. They envisioned a fraternity that could share and help grow the imprint of black student organizations on the campus. While maintaining its own individuality and influence, they imagined an organization that might be for and by the people. And beginning in 1974, they set forth that vision in mind, working quickly to ensure a charter for the Eta Beta Chapter just months later on February 26, 1975. In its early days, the Eta Beta Chapter relied heavily on advising and infrastructural support from various sources within the fraternity. The national headquarters provided integral advising and oversight and graciously granted the chapter its Eta Beta moniker.
Ole Miss is a public university, but when I got there, it was still somewhat segregated. I pledged when I first got there. So I always had what I consider to be the village. Phi Beta Sigma, Eta Beta Chapter was the village for me. I didn't necessarily have to go and find people to connect with. It was already there. We had the charter line, then we had Larry Drummond, and then our line. And at that point, we had to get busy. We had to get busy and start really trying to recruit other like-minded people. And because of the Omegas was there, the Delta was there, the AKs was there. So it's already had been some form of a village already in place, sort of a safe haven for Black students.
Eta Beta gave us an opportunity to do things together. And when we do things together, obviously it was going to be something that was consistent with what we had been taught growing up. And we never wanted to bring shame on the family. And that was inbred in all of us.
To understand how the university and how important Phi Beta Sigma was to the university as we navigated through racism, as we navigated through things like the flag, the colonel, all of those things.
You got people putting a noose on James Meredith's neck, right? And I think about how our alumni, they set the path. They set the path for, and you got brothers who like Simon Taylor, right? In different spaces on campus, sitting at tables, having those conversations that were necessary. Sigma was at the forefront.
Having an opportunity to sit on the forefront and be amongst the people that were making decisions, we took the role as being student leaders and joining those organizations to be at the forefront and be at the table when a lot of these things will actually happen. And it always was a plus. So like I said, our graduate members were university officials, university leaders and community leaders that were at the tables and giving us guidance and supporting us as we pushed I would say, the plight of Black students on here also.
By the end of 1975, the chapter was fully established, having initiated 6 additional members. During the summer, Lawrence Drumming became the first post-charter line member, and during the fall, the chapter doubled in size as the next initiate class brought Anthony Dean, George Hilliard, Jerry Boyd, Frederick Nichols, and Rodney Jones into the membership fold. The 1980s were a time of tremendous growth and expansion for the chapter. In 1988, with approval from the State College Board, the chapter secured a lease for a house on the university's Fraternity Row.
I mean, it was very important to our fraternity, but not only was it important to our fraternity, it was important to African American students on campus. Our house was open to anybody to come by, hang out. It was a safe place for African American students on campus, and anybody who really wanted to come be a part of our campus could come to the fraternity house. Everybody knew that you could come to the Sigma house. Different Greek organizations on campus came over to the house, and non-Greeks came over to the house. It was just a part of the community, and I think it's very important that that house is there.
I think having the house made us a more cohesive group than anyone else, because we had a place that we all belonged to. And I think that was the house in itself. It was our thing, you know. No one else could say that they had a house that they could all go to, you know. Matter of fact, our house was the gathering point for most other groups, most other Black students in general. On Black Alumni Weekend, there was normally some event that took place at the Sigma house. So you didn't have to be a Sigma. You were gonna still gather at the Sigma house.
I remember that the house was a place, sort of like an icon on campus, was a very, very much important, not only to the frat, but also the community. The community very proud to see, especially in a place like Ole Miss, there's a Black fraternity house. And that was very significant, and it was also rare.
It was vital. We could see how important it was to other people. They would tell us that they were happy that we had a house. And we would see visitors come on campus and be impressed that we had a house. From other predominantly white schools that didn't have a Black fraternity house on campus, would be also impressed with the fact that we were there and so visible, right across from the tennis court, right next to traditional fraternity houses that were long-standing fraternity houses for the non-historically Black fraternities and sororities. So it was really important to have that house on campus, and I think the impact was great, and it allowed us to be visible. That visibility allowed us to be able to talk to the administration and try to better the life for African American students on campus.
The 1990s were a time of continued growth and perhaps more readily apparent diversity in the chapter. If the 1970s were the chapter's originary years, the 1980s were the time early growth, and the 1990s saw more growth, expansion, and diversity, the 2000s definitely brought about sweeping transitions. The 2000s were described as the fun times. It was the taking over from the 99 to the 2000s era.
Oh, 99 to the 2000. Yeah, I was a spring 99. That's when I joined the fraternity. And I think campus was just soaring at that time, because at the time when I came in as a freshman class, we were the largest class in the history of the university. And then next year they were the largest class. And then the next year they were the largest class. And you could see the growth of the university, the enrollment wise. And so you could see that we were an important group in this campus. It was they had just gotten rid of the flag, all that stuff was gone, and the campus was really ushering itself into a new era.
But in 2005, the Sigma House was ravaged by an uprooted tree, forcing the chapter to move residency and operation to the sorority house of the Eta Beta Chapter, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
I didn't get a chance to experience the liveliness of the house. So I did experience the new house that was on off of Jackson. So that was a house they moved into, which was the 3 sorority houses actually. And when the Zetas were no longer in that house, the Sigmas took over that house. So a lot of ideas that we did for our week, a lot of initiatives, a lot of big and better business, a lot of community service were birthed in that house. And it was just such a fun time to be able to have a space where your fraternity could unite.
It's not about the party stuff you see, right? Because nobody sees the hard work, they don't see the finished product. And that's what I had to wrap my mind around, because I thought they just showed up and did things. No, we have a chapter meeting. No, besides the chapter meeting, we have to plan this. We have committee meetings. So once you got to see the structure a bit, it became it opened your eyes up to what Greek life was like.
It was always important to get up on a Saturday morning to go clean up the highway, or go to, if you were assigned to go be a big brother, big sister, or to go to the nursing home, and they took that just as serious. They took the step show. So I was super happy to see okay, this person studied a lot. Okay, this person was at every party. Okay, this person was very, very artistic, but we all just came together in our own everybody's collective North Star of making sure that we just pushed the morals and the principles of our founders and the overall trajectory of the organization forward in a progressive way.
In 2015, the chapter had again grown to its typical size and just about 20 members. By 2016, the chapter was gaining recognition on campus and within national organization for its service work. The STEP team was winning STEP shows across the state, and membership was once again reaching record heights. The chapter won the Chancellor's Cup, which is the highest award a fraternity or sorority can uphold on campus. In 2017, Eta Beta introduced the largest initiate class in its 50-year history, which brought the chapter membership to 31, the largest ever.
When I crossed 2014, to be honest, we were still in that stage of what do we do? How do we rebuild this chapter? We didn't have a lot of money. We didn't honestly have a lot of established programs. We didn't have a lot of established connections, partnerships, or anything on campus. So we literally had to build from ground up with the support of our prophytes, who were also still rebuilding the chapter as well. I remember our first interest meeting in fall 14. We were so excited because me and my line brothers we about to cross our first line. We so excited. We about to keep growing the chapter. And that was the goal at that time, was we got to grow Eta Beta, right? That was the whole point when the chapter came back in 2013. We got to focus on growth in all areas. Nobody came to our interest meeting in fall 14. So during that time, we had to really take a step back and do some reflecting as a chapter. There's about 7 of us in the chapter during that time. And we had to sit down and say, what were we doing wrong? One of the things that we realized that we were doing wrong was we didn't have a lot of established connections with our alumni. So it was one of my personal goals, of course, with the brothers I was in a chapter with at the time. It was all of our goal to figure out how do we connect back to our roots so that we could be able to understand how did they do it. Before the chapter got off the campus the first time in 2010, they had roughly around 20 to 22 members in the chapter. So how did they make that happen? So we connected back to those brothers. It was hard being able to do that. But once we did that, the support, the guidance, the advice, all of the information that was shared with us really gave us what we needed to start Eta Beta and reignite that flame back on campus the way that we needed to. So we really, once we got that, we were on the ball.
Eta Beta has been able to remain a success because Eta Beta has always been a great chapter. Now, I will say this. The generations after mine have accomplished so much. I mean, the litany of things they've been able to knock off are things I've never seen in my time period. So I attribute that to the advisors, to the group of young men we bring in, because you can bring in decent people, but if they're not willing to listen or take your leadership or take your advice, it's all for naught. Sometimes you just gotta reach one.
Spring 15, we got to spring 15 semester, we handpicked our line. We all said we're gonna go out and we're gonna recruit at least one person. There was 7 of us in the chapter. We crossed 8 people. Somebody came with 2, I came with 2, right?
In addition to our record of dedicated local and national service work, we have organized, hosted, and participated in hundreds of creative social events. We have won dozens of step shows and stroll-offs. We have hosted events geared toward recognizing and showing appreciation to the women of color in the Oxford and Lafayette community, the Mississippi community, as well as faculty, administrators, and staffs at the University of Mississippi.
When it came to stepping and strolling, it was easy. We would use the same flavor and style that Eta Beta had in the past and make them for ourselves. And to me, that was just being innovative. We were so innovative, so creative with all that we would do. When it comes to events, they were done in the past. We just perfected them. The steps, they were done in the past. We just added this to them. And so to me, the connection that we had with our old heads and that's still prevalent now is important.
We love how past Eta Beta members are so receptive to us. You know, there hasn't been a line since spring 20. So with us coming back after 4 years, basically, they embraced us with so much love. And not only just them, the campus as a whole, the D9 community, just the Oxford, Lafayette County, University, LOU community as a whole has embraced us as welcome back. So that let us know that Eta Beta really had their hands in the foundation of this LOU community. So with that being said, that kind of already set the bar for us here. We're not starting at zero. You know, we have a big step ahead above a lot of people just because of the legacy that Eta Beta had previously.
When you look back, you go, wow, because it was such a special moment, a special time and place. Never will you be in that situation where there's a collective of guys who are all from all different types of life. And we were there at the same moment in time, pledged to the same ideas. And we were able to grow and come of age.
That bond, that unity, that brotherhood, it's the reason we're all coming back for the 50th. This is the reason we're all trying to work together, donate money and whatever we can to build a new fraternity house, because that bond and that brotherhood, it led us here to this point. And it had such an impact on our lives that we want to give back. And you don't have that. People give back. That's how you stay strong for future generations.
You see them in every generation. But as a whole, Eta Beta has been magnificent during that tenure. So I attribute that to the advisors, to the group of young men we bring in, because you can bring in decent people, but if they're not willing to listen or take your leadership or take your advice, it's all for naught.
Today, the chapter continues to be known for transformative service and outreach work, complex and creative step show performances, and innovative approaches to marketing and branding. They are known as the Ole Miss Sigmas, and their slogan is "We the Frat that calls peace on its way." Thank you, Eta Beta, for its 50-year history here at the University of Mississippi. To me, I feel like everyone has a story, and this chapter definitely has a story. It's been impactful throughout Oxford and throughout this university. And the leaders and the people that have come from this chapter are still long going, doing great things. And so to honor them here, to honor them in this documentary, and that story, the story of Eta Beta, is one that truly exemplifies excellence. And that excellence was established 50 years ago, still here today, and will continue to be here for years to come.